live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa, and hailing all the way from Nashville. Tiffany Woys is in the house. You're an incredible recording artist. We got to hear #priceless at the top of the show.
Thank you.
And I'm obsessed.
Thank you so much.
Girl crush, exactly.
Oh.
It's an incredible song, but the message is even more powerful.
Yeah.
So tell us about the inspiration behind Priceless.
That song just struck me. I think right now, especially in music, I think there's such a moment right now for women. It's really important and empowering other women. But more importantly, like, regardless of relationships, I think you need to never settle in love. I think you need to know your worth. I think you need to stand up for yourself. And for this was such an important message for me to just give out to not just young girls, but also men. I think you can be mistreated as a man in a relationship as well. And that was the one thing that I connected to the most was I've been in relationships where you weren't treated well. And I took this into now dating again and meeting new people was look for what you want something. And if it's not what you want, or if it's something that you don't feel comfortable with, get out, keep moving. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm. Who's been the greatest role model for those qualities in your life? Anybody specific that's modeled the self-love, the confidence?
My mom, she's a tough cookie. She doesn't let anything pass her. And I'm told all the time that I'm a lot like her. And, as a child of your parent, you don't really always want to hear that. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just like my mom. But that's actually a compliment. She's an incredible woman. And she's taught me to always stand my ground, be myself, and follow my dreams.
Wow. It's working out for you, isn't it?
Right now, I'm having the best time of my life. This has been a dream since I was a little girl to record music and be on stage ever since I heard Celine Dion. And so now that I'm actually able to do that and connect with people on a much larger scale, it's everything I could have ever dreamed about.
So on Good Morning LaLa, a lot of our kind of concept around here is showcasing people's trials and triumphs. Mm-hmm. People love story. They want to know what the hardest thing you've been through and how you overcame it. What was that moment, or what was that for you?
I have a few, but I went to school to be a lawyer, and it wasn't what made me happy. It's not what I wanted. And finally, when I realized that music is exactly where I need to be, not just where I want to be, it's where I need to be. I moved back from the Bay Area to Sacramento, where I'm from, and I put a band together, and I ended up touring up and down the West Coast, doing bar gigs for sometimes up to 4 hours a night, 3 nights a week. And that was really strenuous on me. And it was hard. I mean, I even got caught in the middle of a bar fight once. Wow. And it's one of those things that I guess not a lot of girls get to participate in. And that was another thing, is a lot of girls aren't received well in the bars. They want kind of more of the male acts, which fine, great. But like, I was there to do my job and be on stage and do what I love. And it was really hard. That part was, and I even ended up at one point having some vocal issues, because when you're singing, that many hours, and then I would do 2 practices a week on top of that, where they were 3 hours at a time. So I was singing, upwards, oh my gosh, close to 15 hours a week.
But good for you for really listening to your intuition, for recognizing it's not what you wanted to do, but it was your purpose.
Yes.
And to risk the stability with a life as a life of a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
All those dice, drive and perform at all these bars. I mean, it wasn't easy for you.
Not at all. And sometimes you're in, audiences of 3 people. So you can do one night 3 people, and then I can do a festival the next weekend for a few thousand. And my biggest learning lesson was to know that each audience needs to be treated the exact same. Mm-hmm. And that those 3 people, yes, there might just be 3 people there, but they're there listening to you.
100%.
So it's unfair to treat them as if they're just in an audience of 3 people. So to me, even though with the struggles of going from bar to bar and doing those things, it taught me such valuable lessons when it comes to relating to an audience and just becoming a better performer and an entertainer.
I wish that more people had that attitude, realizing that whether it be their business, whether it be their art, whether it be whatever, that it's really about their self-development, their spiritual growth as well, and taking it as always just stepping in the greatest version of yourself. So well said.
It's a great point. Right? Like, it's a great point, because when you're intrinsically motivated, you do show up for the one person the same way you do the 10,000 people because you're doing it for the love of doing it.
Love doing
Right,
it. Yeah.
right.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm human. There were some nights where I felt like throwing in the towel because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm walking away, not really gaining any new listeners. I'm not doing that. But you have to kind of remind yourself that why you're there. Like, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes the proper steps. I remember before I moved to Nashville, I was meeting people that are essentially, that I work with now. And I remember hearing a very crucial thing. And she said, you're on like step 1 and there's about 25 steps. And I think I was 21 at the time. And I remember thinking to myself, oh no, because my mom was saying I'm a very impatient, stubborn girl. But when it comes to music, I've never been more willing to take those steps. And now that I'm finally here, able to actually present and show people what I've been working on all these years, I couldn't be happier that I took the time and the patience and the work to do that.
But for me, this sums up what true commitment is. When you're truly committed, it's not about, you don't even question like when the problems come or when the obstacles come because you're just so committed to your mission.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's such a blessing when you find and discover that mission and it's just a commitment. And I know some people have that in relationship or some people have that in their health or whatever, and it's different for each person.
Yeah.
But getting down to that core commitment is so important for people to realize that. How did you know that? It was just one of those moments when you were leaving the law that you just went, this is it. I'm doing it.
To even be fair, I knew in my heart I was never going to pursue law.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to end up going back to do music. It was just about breaking it to
the rent.
To yourself.
Gotta break it to the rent.
To yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and then I had to kind of figure out what were my steps of actually doing it.
Right.
If it's any consolation, the 2 unhappiest professions in the world, medicine and law. So most.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
You just
So they make great money. They have a lot of student debt to pay off.
right. And so, and unlike that, the musician makes sometimes no money, but happy.
Yeah.
Super happy. I couldn't be happier doing this.
And you're good.
Thank
really
you.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I've been, working at this for so many years, and it's really important to me to perfect my craft because it's my job, to make people feel something, to make, to entertain. And so I take that really, really seriously.
Totally. So well
We're so grateful for you and your time in your life. Would you sing a little for us? Sing us into break.
What?
I don't mean to put you on
don't
the spot or
have
anything. You got the mic. And I just thought maybe I had to ask.
I'm not much of an acapella singer.
All right,
I don't have a guitar with me or anything.
Tell everyone where they can find and follow your journey and get your music.
Of course, you can find everything at Tiffany Woys, TiffanyWoys. That's my website, my Instagram, my Facebook.
awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
We'll be right
much.
back.